There's always been a tendency, I think, to focus on the architecture of downtown and big commercial buildings because that's really the way that Chicago built its architectural reputation. But the quality of life of a city isn't just measured by its downtown, it's measured by the entire city. In some tellings of the Chicago architecture story, the neighborhoods have taken a back seat. This is why I love the Driehaus Awards, okay? Architecture is not simply a downtown enterprise. It extends to the neighborhoods of the city and the people of the city. And, it comes from a guy who grew up in the neighborhoods, and he didn't forget where he came from.
So Richard Driehaus is a phenomenal and very interesting man who is deeply committed to Chicago and to the neighborhoods, in part because of his own background coming out of Brainerd in the South Side.
Well, it wasn't particular. It was more overall. I was just in general interest in architecture and design and actually like sense of place.
We were in a conversation with him about how he might become more engaged with LISC. In our discussions, he bemoaned the fact that a lot of the architecture of the time in neighborhoods really was not all that good. We decided that he would create an award that would recognize excellence in design in neighborhood projects.
And so I thought it would be something that would be interesting to do and see whether this would take.
Well, the goal for the award is to reinforce a sense of place and good design and the value of good design to the well-being of everyone in Chicago.
Richard made it clear from the beginning, it has to be an architectural award, it has to be judged qualitatively. This isn't about intent, so you actually have to produce high-level work and also solves real problems.
We feel that this award helps encourage architects to put the human at the center of the idea in the design process. And we want to reinforce that kind of thinking so that it becomes the norm in architectural practice rather than the exception.
I'd been on a lot of juries over the years, and I thought there were a couple things that were very important, that the jury would be diverse. It wouldn't be just architects. And I also thought it was very important that you actually saw the work. It wasn't just judged by photographs.
There's a lot of camaraderie with the jurists. I think there's a lot of back and forth. We learn from each other.
It's not just architects, or it's not just people from design, it's social workers, and it's people who have been involved in the communities.
There's a really big distinction between the Driehaus Awards versus any normal architecture award, in that you can actually walk the jury through the building, get a sense of the space, realize the nuances to the design, and those are all things that you really can't pick up through photographs.
For the 3 that we select, I think we usually do 10 or 12 visits, so really fascinating to see how much effort went into them and the creativity that went into them all.
And the amazing thing is, it's a very diverse group of people. We actually come up with amazing consensus on what the best project is.
Actually, it's a lot of fun to see this room just filled with people. And when the awards come on, people are amazed and they're very emotional about it.
It's such a special moment because we realize that it's an entire room of people who are change makers.
The architects get to take the big bow, and we get to take a small bow, and it's an electric moment for them, and it's a really special moment for us.
It just really means that we and the client together have made a huge difference and that people have noticed.
The relationship with the architect is so special. They got to know us. They got to know not just about our mission and our vision, but who we were, what was our culture, and how that would be articulated through design.
Since the awards have started, we've seen periodically major design firms entering in the competition, spending a lot more time and working a different way than they normally do.
Architects are competitive by nature, but it's a good-hearted competitiveness, I think. If we're not winning an award on a given year, we're super interested in seeing who is winning awards and what kind of projects are happening.
It's also been a place where starting practices of younger architects have been able to get recognition for their work before they get really large commissions.
The best part for us is when clients who have won the Driehaus Award have come back to us and said, here's the next project, get the award. So the fact that design is at the forefront of the decision-making process, it's paramount.
It's great to talk about projects in the community and hear talk about being former Driehaus winners, or to talk to clients about, wow, do you think this work would get us a Driehaus award? So the conversation's out there.
And these design awards have really influenced what our next development is going to be, right? So I get joy in saying, what else is happening in the city of Chicago, and understanding what really worked and what was a hiccup or an uh-oh.
When you have the community involvement, the community process, it to a certain extent forces the architects and the developers to do a better job. And as it ends up, they're pretty proud of what they can do.
It has done what I think Richard really wanted it to do over these 20 plus years, and that is change the mindset in the field of neighborhood development, and has made us very aware that we have to think through what the aesthetic impact is going to be at the neighborhood level.
We spend our lifetime as architects trying to educate people on the importance of good design. And it's a very, very difficult thing to talk about. But when you start to inspire people with good design, that's infectious.
As long as LISC continues to receive a very strong pool of well-designed submissions, the Driehaus Foundation is going to support this award. That kind of impact is at the core of the mission of the foundation, to ensure that we improve the quality of life for citizens throughout this city.
You know, architecture can't do everything by itself. No one should indulge in that fantasy. But it can help make a difference in the quality of life, because Chicago is all about the architecture of democracy. Building buildings, homes, skyscrapers, schools, not palaces.
To have a place that puts an emphasis on architecture that creates impact, that doesn't happen very often. Architecture that impacts community, the sole focus. It's one of the most beautiful things. You just don't see that everywhere.
Architecture, by its nature, it's not a transitory work. It's permanent. And so with that idea of permanence, you want to make sure that you get it right. So I say good design doesn't cost, it pays. It's one of the best investments you can do. And it shouldn't just be downtown. It should be in the neighborhoods as well, for the commonwealth and the whole.